In Conker's Bad Fur Day, the big bad guy is supposed to be the Panther King and his little professor buddy. The thing is that they are bad, they are evil, but I don't think they're nearly as evil as the true villain in Conker's Bad Fur Day. And in my eyes, that true villain is Conker himself. And I'm going to give you 5 examples of screwed up things that Conker does that make him a far worse villain than the Panther King could ever wish to be. Number 5, Marvin the Mouse. Marvin is clearly slow. Like, he is stupid and he loves cheese, and he's also very visibly lactose intolerant, and he's harassing these 2 metal blocks, and they task Conker with dealing with him. And so Conker goes and he finds this pin of living cheese, and he runs up and he clubs that shit on the back of the head with a frying pan, picks it up and packs it to Marvin, screaming and begging for its life. He then throws it up in the air. Marvin catches it and munches down, and then he burps or farts, declares that he would like some more. And he's a gluttonous pig, and Conker obliges, and you bring him more, and after the 3rd time you feed him, poor Marvin swells up with gas, and he explodes, and his little head lands on the ground, and he's blinking at you and stuff, and you think he's dead. And the only reason that Marvin comes in number 5 is because he's not dead. He comes back to life, and he's like near the end of the game. And either that makes him one lucky son of a bear, or an extremely OP character that was like a sleeper build the whole time. Number 4, it's the cogs. You have to go and you collect these 3 lady cogs who have escaped this mechanism they're part of. And back at the mechanism is the big cog, Mr. Big Cog, I think is his name. And then there is the little male cog with 2 faces, split personality, both polar opposites. The one is kind of a gentleman and a bit strange. And then the other one is a giant dick. And he is the one who pushes this from like awkward to just flat out wrong, because you go and you find the lady cogs and you smack them with the frying pan, and then you bring them back and they beg you, no, please no, and then you shove them onto their post on the mechanism, and they like start to make these muffled sounds as they beg you not to put them there. And it's really like fucked up, because it's their hole, like that's their hole, and you're putting that thing in there. And then like the dude cog, he makes it far worse by making like these extremely sensual sounds that are, you know, perhaps a little bit more raunchy than sensual, but it really pushes it into like the not okay territory. And then you go get the other ones, and I guess they get a little bit of solace because the mechanism spins and the cog dude flies off and they whoop his ass. The thing is that then they're all like thankful and grateful to Conker, even though he's the one who brought him back and shoved him back into the mechanism. And so it's kind of like he gaslighted him. So like they think he's this wonderful dude, but actually he just contributed to their violations. At the end of this chapter, the little cog dude, who's a douche, gets shoved onto the front of Mr. Big Cog, and he is not a fan. So he gets a taste of his own medicine. And then, of course, his other personality kind of likes it. But whatever, I digress. Oh, yes. Number 3, the chapter where you get to the spooky castle and you meet Batula. And Batula is a creep, and he speaks very slow. And perhaps the worst part about him is that his opening cutscene is over 6.5 minutes long. And as much as I really enjoy this chapter in the game, it is a slow burner. But that's not the point here. The point here is that Batula turns Conker into a bat, and in order to preserve himself and save himself, Conker flies around and he screeches and he shits on the villagers that are like swarming the castle to stun them. And then you pick them up and you fly them over this giant grinder pit thing that Batula's hanging over upside down, and they get mushed up and eviscerated and turned into the, bloody juice that Batula drinks, and he's obviously also a glutton. And at least he will get what he deserves. But you throw more and more people into this grinder, and they get mashed up, fed to Batula, and eventually the rope starts to fray that he's hanging from. And you continue to fill this fat son of a bitch with more innocent villagers until he finally snaps the rope and falls into the grinder and gets turned into mincemeat himself, and that allows Conker to turn back into a normal squirrel. So this is, I guess, a little bit about self-preservation, but I mean, if you think about it, the idea of throwing innocent villagers who are actually trying to take down a heinous villain into the meat grinder, it's pretty fucked up. Like, it's not cool. Don't do that, Conker, you dickhead. Number 2, and this one was close. This is the Ugga Bugga genocide. You think about the caveman chapter, the prehistoric chapter of Conker's Bad Fur Day, where you meet the Ugga Buggas, the little cavemen people. It's bad enough, like, you're already kind of abusing them right off the hop, but then you feed them to dinosaurs over and over again, just tons of them, and you end up knocking some into some lava, and on top of that, at one point, you take a bomb into, like, the middle of this volcano and blow it up, and it causes the lava to rise up, no doubt killing tons and tons of these Ugga Bugga dudes. And it's just like mass murder. And think about the kill count that Conker has already, and compare that to how many people we actually see the Panther King responsible for the death of on purpose, and it's not even close. Not even a little bit. Before we get to the number 1 most fucked up thing, here are a handful of honorable mentions of just really shitty things that Conker does. For one, he exposes the fact that Bugga the Nut has a tiny wiener. And you know what? As hilarious as that is, that's also pretty mean. And Bugga's kind of a giant douchebag, but whatever, it's still showing a man's pee-pee to the public is just not cool. Not cool, man. As if it wasn't bad enough you took a, dinosaur and let it eat giant chunks of his ass cheeks, then you show everybody that he's hung like a Tic Tac. Cruel. Just cruel. Think about the way that Conker just takes advantage of the people that you run into in the game to get his way. The fact that he, has the cows in the bullpen area just slaughtered because he needs poop, and as if cows won't just poop naturally in the first place, but, just no life holds any value to this squirrel, this heinous son of a bitch. He does not give a shit. A lot of the, items that you have to deal with in the game are alive. For example, the cheese or the cogs or the sweet corn. The sweet corn that you, once again, club them over the head with a goddamn frying pan, and then you pick them up and they scream and they beg, and you throw them to a giant poop monster, a massive turd, and they get eaten. I mean, these things are alive. How would you feel if you got eaten by a giant turd and you were fed to it by a squirrel? These next couple of things were really close to making it on this list, but they just weren't quite murderous enough, but they were up there. So for starters, when Conker finishes the prehistoric chapter and you defeat Bugga the Nut and expose his tiny pee-pee, and you're getting ready to leave the area, Conker just straight falls in love with Jugga, the enormous cave woman with the massive knockers, and he is prepared to just completely forget about Barry in order to pursue a life with this giant cave woman, who then shuts him down, and he's legitimately bummed about it, which is wild. Like, he's supposed to be on this journey to get home, and he's supposed to be with Barry. To add insult to injury, he attempted to cheat on her, and then at the end of the game she's dead, and his selfish ass gets the opportunity to make anything happen in the entire universe, and this fucker couldn't even be bothered to remember to bring back his girlfriend from the dead, which was totally an option, as he points out on his own in the game, but he was willing to leave her for a cave woman because of giant boobs. Seems a little bit screwed up to me. Another thing that I always thought was like kind of weird and shitty, even though it's hilarious, is in the nightclub when you piss on the rock people, because if you think about it, some people are into that shit. And then most people are not into that shit. And the rock people clearly did not consent, because if they catch you peeing on them, they will clobber you. They will absolutely rock your shit. No pun intended. They do not want to be peed on, and Conker does not give a shit. Now, the number one most screwed up thing that Conker does that's just so heinous and evil is another part of the prehistoric chapter where you find yourself climbing to the center of the volcano to sit and roost on top of a giant egg. Now, Conker sits there for some time. I don't even know how long. The egg hatches and a baby dinosaur comes out, and it's so cute, and it makes little baby noises, and it eats Ugga Buggas, and they scream out in agony, and it's hilarious. Granted, a little bit evil, but funny. And he helps you out. You know, like, this dinosaur is so cool, and I wish that you got to do more with him, but no. Conker has different things in mind. There's a part where you must take something large to sacrifice to the giant snot lizard god thing, and that's your baby, man. The whole time you're walking him there, he's making these cute little noises. He follows you around because he thinks that you're his mommy, which you tell him, like Conker tells him, yeah, I'm your mommy, and knows exactly what he's doing. Like, it's so genuinely evil. This poor critter has been alive for like 7 minutes at this point, and you lure it to this trap where you then shoot your slingshot or whatever at the wall and hit a button, and this massive thing just slams down on this poor baby dinosaur, literally a fetus practically at this point in its life. And Conker knows. He's like, oh, this should be interesting. He knows what he's doing. He knows it's fucking evil, and he doesn't care. He is legitimately far more evil than the Panther King. And what really was the Panther King's greatest crime? He wanted to use Conker as a table leg because his milk kept spilling. Imagine all the lives that the Panther King could have saved if his idiot henchman had gotten a hold of Conker right off the bat, and he was tied up being used as a table leg. He wouldn't have been able to kill all those people or do all those horrible things, and honestly, Barry might have survived and lived a happy, genuine life without that son of a bitch. Go to the comments section and tell me why I'm wrong or why I'm right, or if you think he did something even more evil than what I listed here. That would also be good. I hope that if you're here, you like old video games, you like memories and nostalgia, you like reliving those old moments. Because what I do here is I play old video games and I reminisce them, and occasionally I get a silly video idea, so I make a video. And sometimes I find cool gaming memorabilia or gadgets, and I'll just check those out, do a quick video on that. So if that's the kind of thing that interests you, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you need some more right here, right now, consider watching this video here to see a little bit more of what I do. And I hope to see you in the next video.